The crystalline archive of Zephyria housed the galaxy's most perplexing mystery, the paradox of infinite mirrors. For 3,000 years, the greatest minds from across 17 star systems had attempted to solve it. The puzzle sat within, a chamber of pure diamond, its holographic interface casting ethereal patterns that seemed to mock every visitor who dared approach. Dr. Kexithera, the Vortanian quantum mathematician, whose 12 brains had revolutionized hyperspace theory, stared at the puzzle with her compound eyes dilated in concentration. Her tentacles writhed in frustration as the mathematical sequences danced before her, each solution pathway leading to an impossible recursion that made her neural network spark dangerously. Another failure, she whispered in the harmonic language of her people, her voice creating crystalline formations in the air. Around her, the scattered remains of broken minds testified to the puzzle's cruelty. The Nexarian philosopher who had turned catatonic after glimpsing the solution's edge. The silicon-based metalloid whose processing cores had literally melted from overexertion. The puzzle itself seemed simple enough at first glance. A three-dimensional matrix of interconnected nodes, each requiring activation in a specific sequence to unlock the next level. But the deeper one delved, the more the logic twisted upon itself. Every solution created new problems. Every answer birthed fresh paradoxes. The puzzle existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously while maintaining perfect stability in normal space-time, a feat that should have been impossible according to every known law of physics. Ambassador Velnoth of the Telepathic Consortium had brought his species' greatest mind readers to attempt a psychic assault on the puzzle's nature. They had linked their consciousness into a singular entity of pure thought, only to have their collective intelligence shattered when they touched the puzzle's true essence. The survivors spoke in whispers of mirrors reflecting mirrors, of thoughts thinking themselves into existence, of logic eating its own tail until nothing remained but screaming silence. The mechanical collective had sent their most advanced AI constructs, quantum computers the size of asteroids that could process information at rates that made light seem sluggish. Each machine had confidently begun its calculations, modeling every possible permutation, running simulations that encompassed billions of potential solutions. One by one, they had fallen into infinite loops, their processors trapped in recursive hell until their creators were forced to perform emergency shutdowns to prevent total system collapse. Then, the humans arrived. Captain Sarah Chen stepped into the archive chamber with the casual stride of someone entering a coffee shop, rather than approaching the galaxy's greatest intellectual challenge. She was unremarkable by human standards. Average height, brown hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, wearing the standard-issue jumpsuit of the Terran Exploration Corps. Behind her, the assembled alien dignitaries watched with a mixture of curiosity and poorly concealed condescension. "This is your champion?" Kexithera's translator rendered her skepticism in flat English. "She appears to be ordinary." "Appearances can be deceiving," replied Admiral Reyes, the human diplomatic attaché. "Captain Chen has an unusual background. She's a puzzle enthusiast. Solves crosswords during her morning coffee, does Sudoku during hyperspace jumps. Nothing too fancy." The Nexarian High Counselor, one of the few survivors of their species' attempts, gestured with movements that spoke of deep philosophical concern. "Does she understand the magnitude of what she faces? This puzzle has consumed the greatest intellects of our age. It exists beyond conventional logic, beyond the normal parameters of problem-solving." Sarah approached the holographic interface and paused, tilting her head as she observed the shifting patterns. The puzzle seemed to sense her presence, its crystalline nodes pulsing with anticipatory energy. Around the chamber, monitoring equipment registered the familiar spike in dimensional fluctuations that preceded another attempt. "Huh," Sarah said, scratching her chin. "That's interesting." She circled the puzzle slowly, her eyes tracking the movement of the holographic elements with the same casual attention she might give to a newspaper crossword. The alien observers held their breath, or equivalent respiratory functions, as she reached toward the interface. "Wait," called out Dr. Kexithera. "Shouldn't you study it first? Develop theoretical frameworks, create mathematical models?" Sarah glanced back with a slight smile. Sometimes overthinking is the problem. She yawned, as her finger touched the first node. The puzzle responded immediately, its patterns shifting into new configurations. Sarah's finger moved with seemingly random purpose, activating nodes in a sequence that made no sense to the watching aliens. Their advanced minds raced to follow her logic, to understand the underlying principles guiding her choices. They found none. Sarah continued her work with the distracted air of someone solving a word puzzle while waiting for toast to finish. She activated a cluster of nodes that should have created a logical paradox, then bypassed the resulting complexity with a solution so simple it made the Nexarian philosopher weep. When the puzzle shifted into its fourth-dimensional configuration, the phase that had driven the mechanical collective's computers into madness, she simply rotated her perspective and treated it like a three-dimensional problem with extra steps. "This is impossible," whispered the Vortanian mathematician. "She's ignoring 17 different laws of quantum mechanics. She's approaching it like—" The metalloid's voice crackled with confusion. "Like a game." That was exactly what Sarah was doing. Where the galaxy's greatest minds had seen profound cosmic significance, she saw patterns. Where they had found universe-shaking paradoxes, she found amusing little tricks. The puzzle wasn't testing intelligence or knowledge, it was testing perspective. The paradox of infinite mirrors had been designed by an ancient race that valued cleverness over wisdom, humor over solemnity. It was meant to be solved by a mind that could look at complexity and laugh, that could find simplicity hidden within elaborate deception. As Sarah activated the final sequence of nodes, the puzzle began to collapse into itself, revealing the gift hidden at its heart. A star map leading to the lost homeworld of its creators, complete with the secrets of dimensional engineering that had eluded galactic civilization for millennia. The chamber fell silent except for the soft hum of the revealed technology. Sarah stretched and yawned again. "Well, that was fun. Anyone know where I can get decent coffee around here?" Behind her, the greatest minds in the galaxy stared at the impossible solution, finally understanding that sometimes the most profound problems required the most human approach, the willingness to see a puzzle as just a puzzle, and the confidence to trust in simple solutions. Dr. Kexithera's 12 brains worked in perfect harmony for the first time in her life, all focused on a single crystalline thought. Perhaps complexity was not always the answer. Perhaps sometimes the universe preferred a yawn to a scream.